Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Walter Cronkite, Chief Correspondent for CBS News. Today, as you know, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the return of Apollo 11 from the moon. My colleagues and I, we are here today to present to you a dramatic flashback of that mission. The premise that we will be making is that Apollo 11 has returned from the moon. The astronauts have been in quarantine. They have now served their 2-week quarantine period, and we are the first news agencies that have been able to have the first live interviews with them. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for your attention, and we'd also like to give you a little bonus. Today in class, it is Thursday, November 14th, 2019. This is also the 50th anniversary of the second mission to the moon, Apollo 12. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, people, give me a go, no go for launch. Donuts. Go. Blazer. Go. Dozens. Go. Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for returning to TY News Station. My name is Nora Shepard, and today I'll be interviewing Mrs. Armstrong. Mrs. Armstrong, your husband is finally going to the moon. Are you excited?
Yes, I am very excited for him. I am very confident in NASA, and it makes me, in that case, I'm very excited for him.
That's very nice. Have you guys gotten ready if he was not to return?
Yes, he has a living will already, and we discussed how we would handle our finances and his fatherly roles with myself and all. And yes, we have it all figured out if he doesn't return home.
All right. Will you and the other wives be joining together for the lunching?
Yes, we will, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. It'll be nice to be able to share this in common and be able to bond with these ladies, with all of our men being astronauts.
Well, here you go, TY News Station. We have Mrs. Armstrong and her answers. Thank you for tuning in.
As any scientist can tell you, traveling to an unknown planet is not that much of a problem anymore. The problem is getting around when you get up there. First off, since nobody likes to run out of gas or oil in strange places, you need a vehicle that won't use too much gas or oil. You need a vehicle that won't boil over on hot, unknown planets or freeze up on cold ones. And since surface conditions can run anywhere from green cheese to molasses, you need a vehicle with exceptional traction. All of which is why we, the crew of the V1500, chose the Volkswagen sedan. Best.
Good morning. I'm Melissa Carmichael with Florida News, and I'm with these lovely ladies, and we're going to be panelists for the Apollo 11 crew.
Good morning. I'm Abby Johnson. I'm going to be from TY News asking some questions too.
Hello, my name is Abigail Faircloth, and I will be asking the astronauts questions as well.
Hi, my name is Nora Shepard, and we are from CI News, and we'll be asking the Apollo 11 questions.
Good morning, Mr. Armstrong. My first question for you is, what did the sky look like from the moon?
The sky is a deep black when you view it by the moon, and the only thing you can see when you're there is the actual moon, but besides the sun. And I haven't seen any reports of other planets being seen, but the Earth looks quite beautiful from there.
Okay. And then, according to the photograph you brought back, it seems that the color of the Earth varies from the angle that you view it. Is that true?
Yes, that was actually one of the first characteristics that we noticed while going on orbit.
Okay. And then for you, Mr. Aldrin, did you always want to be one of the first men on the moon?
When I really thought about it, if I wanted to be one of the first, I realized that I really didn't. commitment and the responsibilities that would go along with being on the first flight, I was a little apprehensive about.
Okay. And then, how disappointed were you when you found out that you were going to be the second man on the moon and not the first?
I wish I was the first man on the moon, but my commander, Neil, was actually the first, and I had to follow through. And I'm just glad that I was able to be a part of the lunar landing mission.
And for you, Mr. Collins, did you find the Apollo 11 mission different than the Gemini 10?
Well, definitely, since the Gemini missions were mainly just the preparation phases for the upcoming Apollo 11 missions.
Okay. And then, how did the extensive amount of training prepare you for this mission?
Well, it prepared us for the most part since it was actual simulations of how outer space would actually be. But the only difference was that the view would be vastly different from what the view is like on Earth.
Perfect, thank you.
Mr. Armstrong, what inspired you to become an astronaut?
Ever since I was a little kid, I've been fascinated with aviation. And just for you to have an idea, when I was at 16 years old, I got my first pilot's license, and which was even before I got an actual driver's license. So that tells you a lot about my passion.
Very interesting, sir. And for you, Mr. Aldrin, how long have you been interested in space?
Ever since I could always remember, I always had an interest in flight and flying aircrafts.
Interesting. And Mr. Collins, has there ever been anyone else in your family that had been interested in this kind of stuff as well?
Well, from what I can recall, not really. Just myself, to be honest.
Okay. Well, it's cool that you're interested in this kind of stuff.
So my first question is for you guys as a group. What were your initial thoughts when landing on the moon, and how did you guys feel about it?
Well, I guess we had a feeling of, mission accomplished, and we knew that we were making a change in history and leaving our marks for the rest of history, and we had a great feeling.
It was a privilege to be a part of this mission with these fellow gentlemen, and there was so much good and dedicated people a part of this, and I still marvel to this day that we went to the moon.
Well, it was both a nerve-wracking and fascinating experience, but we pulled through. As you guys see, we pulled through, and yeah, as he said, mission accomplished.
Thank you. My second question is for Mr. Aldrin. What was your reason for going to space in Apollo 11?
Well, Apollo 11 was about exploration and about taking risks for great rewards in science and engineering. It was about setting an ambitious goal before the world and finding the political will.
Thank you.
Alright, so my first question is for the group. Do you think NASA made a mistake by not preparing a rescue mission if anything went wrong?
Well, no. Even if, say, we were to have a mishap on the moon, there would be backup systems in order to prevent that from actually most likely happening. But no, they didn't make mistakes.
We also have complete faith in NASA. They've been in this game for a long time, and I think we all trust the process and have total trust.
Mr. Armstrong, were your words one small step for a man and a giant leap for mankind prepared?
Well, I was preparing myself before the speech. I had some ideas, but that wasn't something that I had completely practiced before. It just came out at the moment.
Mr. Michael, you were alone for 28 hours. What were you doing?
Well, other from just monitoring the systems of the command module, I was just making observations of the moon and taking pictures for future purposes, and pretty much just trying to keep myself awake in case of any mishaps.
Mr. Buzz, you had a day off before launching. What did you do?
Well, we were in quarantine and reviewing the mission and praying that everything will go well.
Thank you all of you guys for your compassion and your strength.
Man does not easily change environments. So in going to the moon, Apollo astronauts take part of the Earth with them, oxygen to breathe, food and drink for nourishment. Like the energy breakfast drink of Earth, Tang, with more vitamin C than orange juice. Tang, proud of its role in this new environment, but also proud of its bigger role in the Earth's environment.
Hello everyone, my name is Abby Johnson. I'm here to interview Gene Kranz on the flight director of Apollo 11. So my first question is, we all know we are in the space race and America is part of that, but how did it all start to begin with?
That's a good question. Really, to understand that, you have to go back to 1957. At the end of the Second World War, America was the dominant military power in the world. But you had the Soviet Union, you had communism. When Russia received the nuclear bomb, at that point in time, the advantage America had as far as military edge, it was gone. Russia had the bomb, America had the bomb, so it's like, okay, what are we going to do about it? Well, America built a large bomber fleet. It was basically B-47s in the early 1950s, and then later in the later 1950s and early 1960s, we built the B-52 bombers. We built a fleet of over 600 of those. Now, those bombers were designed to carry American nuclear weapons from America to Russia in the event of a nuclear war. Russia, on the other hand, they did not have a large bomber fleet. What they did have is a large missile fleet. Their missiles were a lot larger, a lot more powerful than what ours were, because the nuclear weapons that they were carrying, they were a lot heavier. So with those large boosters, Russia realized that, okay, we're competing with America. Let's see what the next avenue is going to be. Now, you have to understand something. The American attitude towards Russia at that point in time, we regarded them as a technologically backward nation. We considered ourselves superior in everything. So it came as a big shock on October the 4th, 1957, when Russia put the first satellite in orbit. That satellite circling the globe, 18,000 miles an hour, could have just as easily have been a nuclear bomb. With that fear, America realized, okay, we have to match them in this.
Because we already beat Russia to the moon, what's next and whatever happened to the Russians now that we have?
Well, again, as I said, they had a lead from 1957 to 1965. They put the first satellite up. They put the first man in space. They put the first woman in space. They put the first 2-man crew into space. They put the first 3-man crew into space. We had a program called Apollo. This was done at the behest of President Kennedy, when after the first flight of Alan Shepard on May 5th, 1961, he went before the Congress of the United States and he gave a speech when he basically said in that speech, this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth. He said no single space project in this period will be more difficult or more expensive to accomplish. But he recognized this was the gauntlet America was throwing down to Russia. And people have asked, well, why did we choose that? It's very simple. Some have said, well, why didn't we just say, well, we'll put a space station up? Anything less than committing America to a man landing on the moon, the Russians were going to beat us because they had those large rocket boosters. To put a person on the moon meant that both countries were going to have to start from scratch and build a brand new rocket that had the power of getting there. And that was something in 1961 neither nation had, because the technology did not even exist.
Well, thank you for your time. That's all we have for today.
We did the impossible. We landed men on the moon. How much was that worth? How much is superiority over the Russians worth? How much is international prestige worth? Or were there better ways of achieving this? How much is it worth
to prove some theories and to prove out others on the formation of the earth and the moon and our solar system? Or were there less costly ways of learning that? How much is it worth to speed up computer technology by even 5 years and give the United States a long early lead in this now essential science? How much is it worth to prove in an era of cynicism and gloom that man can still do anything he wants to do as long as he has the will to do it and the money to spend? How much is it all worth? Well, nobody can really add it all up. The figures can't be added like groceries in a checkout counter. They are truly immeasurable and incalculable. This is correspondent Walter Cronkite for KYW News. Thank you and good night.
William Bradford, speaking in 1630 of the founding of the Plymouth Bay Colony, said that all great and honorable actions are accompanied with great difficulties, and both must be enterprised and overcome with answerable courage. If this capsule history of our progress teaches us anything, it is that man in his quest for knowledge and progress is determined and cannot be deterred. The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not. We mean to be a part of it. We mean to lead it. For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon, and to the planets beyond. Our leadership in science and industry, our hopes for peace and security, our obligations to ourselves as well as others, all require us to make this effort, to solve these mysteries, to solve them for the good of all men. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.